What's up everyone, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful 24 official channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button today. Let's get started. Ridge is urged to dump Taylor by Eric as Taylor tries desperately to set a wedding date. The Bold and the Beautiful, Taylor checks in with Thomas, Katie and Brooke worry about Ridge's son, and Eric urges Ridge to dump Taylor. In Forrester's design office, Brooke fawns over Eric, who talks about renovations taking place at the house. As always, talk turns to her and Ridge not reuniting yet. The blonde is sure Taylor has every intention of getting him to the altar. Katie wanders in and jumps on the bandwagon. Eric hopes Brooke will get through to Ridge before it's too late. He exits, leaving the sisters to go over how Brooke and Ridge are meant to be for the umpteenth time. Thomas's return comes up and Katie declares he needs to back off. He and Steffi are not kids and don't need their parents together. They hope he's changed, but can't forget what he did to Hope, Baby Beth, and Douglas. They're sure he'll be upset when Ridge calls off the engagement and don't know what to expect. Across the hall, Ridge warns Taylor that Thomas's engagement is over. Taylor guesses their wedding is even more important to their son now. It's probably what he needs. She goes on about how amazing it is to have Thomas home for the wedding planning, as Ridge clams up. Taylor wants to act impulsively and make Thomas smile. When Eric walks in, Taylor tells him that they will soon be getting married. She hopes he'll be happy for them. After, Eric corners Ridge and blasts, "You have to do something." Direct as ever, he blusters, "Come on, end this thing tonight." Ridge shifts the conversation to Thomas returning home and reveals that he is being overly critical of him marrying his mother. "Oh, for God's sake." Eric rolls his eyes. He's grown and has no business pressuring Ridge into marriage. Ridge barks, "That's exactly what you're doing." Eric makes it clear that he only cares about Ridge marrying Brooke. He can't have them both. Ridge, like all of us, is tired. Eric warns he has to make a decision and implores him not to lose Brooke. They flash to the rescue in Italy, because of course they do, and Eric worries what will become of his son if he doesn't choose her. They embrace, and Eric leaves Ridge to flash through memories. In the Forrester guesthouse, Thomas sits alone, stewing over photos of Brooke and Ridge. He is certain that his father will not disappoint them. We are not. Taylor shows up and tells Thomas nothing's been the same without him. Talk immediately turns to the wedding. Taylor announces they're setting a date when Ridge gets home. Thomas is thrilled. Taylor tries to talk to Thomas about Paris, and he shrugs, "It is what it is." He wants to concentrate right now on making his mother's dreams come true. He reveals he warned his dad to step up and be a man. In her own guest house, Taylor remembers proposing to Ridge and smiles. He appears and tells her how beautiful she looks. Handing him a wine, Tay jumps right to setting a wedding date, declaring, "Very soon, you will be my husband again." Ridge is haunted by his father's warning about making the right choice. Hypocrite Eric warns Thomas. Ridge delays Taylor's heartache. The Bold and the Beautiful reveal that hypocrite Eric Forrester will warn Thomas Forrester, while Ridge Forrester delays Taylor Hayes' heartache. To begin, Eric will engage in a heated discussion with Thomas and attempt to prevent his grandson from interfering with Ridge's romantic life. Since Thomas is a grown man who doesn't need to be controlling Ridge's future, Eric will throw some complaints at him. Of course, Eric is a hypocrite since he's also a grown man who shouldn't be telling Ridge what to do. It's not fair for Eric to gripe about Thomas's behavior when he's doing the same thing. Even so, Eric will continue to believe he's right, and anyone who thinks Ridge belongs with Taylor is wrong, including Thomas since he's so adamant about his parents sticking together. Thomas will defend Taylor and Ridge's love story, but Eric will seriously doubt that Ridge can truly be happy with her. As far as Eric is concerned, Brooke Logan is the only woman who can satisfy Ridge and leave him without any regrets. Since Eric is a broken record when it comes to pushing Ridge toward Brooke, Ridge won't be able to shake his father's advice. Ridge will dwell on everything Eric has told him and worry that it might be a mistake for him to keep his engagement to Taylor. After what happened in Naples, Eric knows Ridge still wants Brooke deep down. Brooke and Ridge are each other's destiny, so it's easy to see this storyline will eventually lead to their next chapter as a couple. For now, Ridge will be miserable as he stands by Taylor instead of going back to Brooke. According to B&B spoilers, Ridge will put Taylor's pain off because he won't give Brooke the reunion she wants right away. Ridge could make things even worse if he sets a wedding date with Taylor since she's been pressuring him about that. Taylor thinks she and Ridge will live happily ever after, but she is in for a rude shock. The Bold and the Beautiful say Taylor will get updates on some news down the road, so stay tuned. At Forrester Creations, an undercurrent of tension lingered beneath the polished exterior of the design office as Ridge Forrester found himself being pulled in multiple directions, a man trapped between the woman who provided him with stability and the woman who had always been the true center of his heart. While Taylor Hayes flitted around him with wide-eyed enthusiasm, discussing floral arrangements and guest lists as if the wedding bells were already ringing, Ridge became increasingly quiet and troubled, burdened by the unyielding pressure from his family and the vivid memories of Italy that flashed through his mind, featuring Brooke's golden hair and the sound of her laughter in the Tuscan air. These memories served as a poignant reminder that his fate was not something he could simply ignore, no matter how fervently he wished to maintain peace. Meanwhile, Eric Forrester, observing his son veer toward yet another mistake, could not remain silent. The elder patriarch was convinced that Ridge's marriage to Taylor would merely serve as another distraction, a way to evade the inevitable draw back to Brooke Logan. The woman who had shattered Ridge's heart countless times yet was also the only one capable of mending it in the same breath. Thus, Eric burst into Ridge's office with the intensity of a man who had spent decades witnessing the same errors recur and proclaimed that enough was enough. "You must take action, Ridge, and it must be done tonight. Put an end to this situation before it escalates further." His voice resonated with paternal authority, while Ridge felt a surge of resentment at being commanded. He retorted that his father was behaving in the same manner he accused Thomas of, pressuring him into a marriage decision that he ought to make independently. Yet, despite Ridge's sharp response, his eyes revealed the inner conflict he was experiencing, for Eric's words struck too close to the truth he was desperately trying to hide. He loved Taylor indeed, but his heart belonged to Brooke. At that very moment, Brooke, as if sensing a shift in the universe, had been in the design office with Eric earlier, adoring him like the devoted daughter-in-law she always appeared to be in spirit, even if not in reality. She smiled at his tales of renovations at the Forrester mansion, only to inevitably redirect the conversation toward Ridge, for Brooke could never discuss wallpaper or architectural details without bringing the dialogue back to her own shattered engagement and her lasting connection with Ridge. Meanwhile, Katie Logan, the ever-practical sister, entered and quickly allied with Brooke, asserting that Taylor's insistence on pushing Ridge toward the altar was merely manipulation disguised as fate, urging Ridge to recognize that he was being forced into a decision he did not genuinely desire. Although Katie had her own issues regarding Ridge and his continual indecision between women, she nonetheless perceived that Ridge's affections were not entirely directed towards Taylor, prompting her to encourage Brooke to persist, to continually remind Ridge that they were destined to be together. Both sisters, however, recognized with discomfort that Thomas's return to Los Angeles added complexity to the situation, as he had previously suffered due to his father's decisions and was now desperately holding on to the notion of his parents' reconciliation, believing it could atone for his past errors. Should Ridge shatter Taylor's aspirations, Thomas might regress into the darker, obsessive tendencies that had almost led to his downfall, causing Brooke and Katie to fret over the potential collateral damage resulting from Ridge's choices. Meanwhile, across the hall, Taylor was immersed in her own fantasies, enthusiastically expressing to Ridge how Thomas's ended engagement made their wedding even more imperative. "It's what he needs, Ridge. It will instill hope in him, demonstrating that love endures," she declared with an almost innocent enthusiasm. However, Ridge barely reacted, retreating into silence as if the walls were closing in on him, his quietness revealing the turmoil within. Later, when Eric confronted him privately, Ridge found it impossible to evade the burden of his father's request, with the patriarch chastising him for allowing Thomas to influence his romantic decisions.